Let's get these hydraulic remotes off from here and we'll get them rebuilt. I've even bought a third valve to put on the stack. So when they go back together, there'll be 3 instead of 2. That's the max you can do with a roll bar. Even the book said only 2, but essentially there is room for 3 as long as you get them on before you put the roll bar on. It's right up there, and there's no room for the bolts to come out once it's on. But I have seen one at a show. I wasn't sure if it'd work, but I saw where someone had the third valve on, and so I am going to do it as well. I will, of course, have to get longer bolts to go back in there. I'm going to put these guide studs in. Just keeps everything from flopping around when I'm even going apart. I'll definitely use them going together, but just makes it nice because I can slide everything off the end. Of course, if the fenders are on there or a cab or a roll bar, then you almost need to swing that and move it around, and these might be in your way, but they're gonna be all right for me. Well, I'm not sure how much I missed while I wasn't recording there. If you can go up to 4 remotes. Let's see. Well, this one decided to stay in. The last valve, the metal ring, decided to go tink, tink, tink all the way home. This valve is a float type valve. Hopefully you're seeing that all right. You can tell by this little shaft that comes out the back end there. If it's going to work right, it has to be number 1 in the stack, the one closest to the frame, and that's where it was. It is time to get the base unit and the hydraulic valves back on the 1855. Recording wise, this is going to be good because there's not a lot of other stuff in the way, but it may look easier than doing it on the tractor or a tractor with fenders or a cab on, because, well, nothing's in the way. But hey, so first thing we got to do is get this base on. I got a new O-ring in here already. I'll put a little grease on there to keep it in place. We'll get her mounted up on there. I did have some paper towel plugging that hole up, but got her open. I want to make sure that's not plugged, because that's where all the oil goes back in at after going through the remotes and the stuff that comes back from the cooler. It really helps to have guide bolts to slide these on with. Like I was mentioning, if you have a cab or a roll bar, that can make it a little more of a challenge, but this one I just threaded on each end, something I found laying around. And this one's just a bolt that I cut the head off and made a taper on the end to help guide stuff on with. We will start with the float valve because that's got to go towards the inside for it to float properly. For my O-ring kit, I got with Jerry over at Ag Parts First, and I don't know if there's a kit involved or kit part number, but he will put together what you need. You tell him you're doing 1 valve, you'll need 2 sets of O-rings, 1 for each side, so you essentially need 1 more than number of valves. I'm putting on 3 valves, so I needed 4 sets of O-rings and the steel spacers. And let's just put a little grease on each of these to help hold things in place. Don't have to be a whole lot. Give everybody something to talk about. But you'll get a large O-ring for the center here and a steel ring that goes in the middle of it. You may notice them when you take it apart, and those are important. I have seen it happen. These O-rings are close enough to these edges, the flow from that oil can be really fast and pull that O-ring in, and that steel ring supports the O-ring, prevents it from getting sucked in and going on through, because then you'll have a leak. Get them all on there. The bottom one does not have a steel ring on it. At least I haven't seen it on there. That one is ready to slide on. O-rings face towards the inside. Get that on the right hole. And uh-oh, is there a burr on the end of my bolt? There must be, because it does not want to go through the hole. Well, let me adjust that. There, that should let it slide through. If you're putting on 3 bolts, if you're putting on 3 remotes, the book calls for 6.5 inch long 3/8 bolts, and I hadn't thought to get some of those. I found some grade 2 ones I got around. They'll work for now until I can get some grade 5s. And I can just pull one out at a time and replace them. But trying to get that whole stack in there in one time, one swing, if you're going with a cab or something like that, you can have the bolts through the end cover and the valves and try to slide them in. It can be a bear. It can also be done. There may be choice words involved. But when you're out in the open like this, having these guide pins just make all the difference. All right, our first detent valve. Third remote. And now we need to get some levers on before we put the end cap on, because that goes over this. The first 2 levers are identical and have a bushing inside of them that is wanting to slip out at the moment. There we go. The last lever is different than the others. You can go up to 4 valves on these. The outside 2 are the same. They're kind of hard to come by. The 3rd and 4th valve levers, they used to be, well, I guess everything used to be a current part at one time, but when I put the 3rd valve on the 2255, they were still a good part number at AGCO, but they have since discontinued it. And going, oh, I'm just trying to get it on there without the bushing staying in. Come on. Anyways, my friend Adam was making some up for himself, and so I got him to make a couple extra for me. Getting that bushing to go. Jeez. Oh, just needed the right persuasion. We'll rest that there. The end plate, same thing, same size O-rings, same steel support washers. And it will go over the same pivot rod as the levers to help support that. Come on, you know you want to. There it goes. All sandwiched together. Now it's just a matter of getting some bolts in there. I think this is a 7-inch long bolt. It's what I could find for now until I can get the right thing. It should still work. Yeah. Now I will say this hole here is drilled down through and connects the 2 holes that I should have pointed out before I put it on there. I have seen guys take this plug out and use it for power beyond, and it works because the oil comes through the bottom of the valve there in this bottom center hole, comes up through this one, and then deadheads, and it passes through the valves only when you use them. So there is constant pressure under this, but it's only a quarter, I think that's only 1/4 inch pipe thread. It might be 3/8, but it's a small hole is the point of it. And you're gonna get restriction there. So if you're plumbing in there to run a loader or something, you're really gonna cut back on your hydraulic flow and probably create more heat. So not the ideal place to pick up pressure. If you're gonna run, I don't know, a blower fan on a planter, that might work because you don't need a lot of flow for them. Personally, I guess I just don't recommend it, but just to put it out there, it can be done. I've got another one of these valves to put on Herman. And him being a non 3-point hitch, Western style, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Wheatland. External valve takes these kind of stacked valves, even though he's open center. But a third remote would be nice. So one of these days I'll get it around and put on him. Yeah, these bolts are just a little bit on the long side. But that's all right. Like I say, I will get the right thing. But they will hold it in for now. Maybe. That one's acting like it's bottoming out. We sure don't need to break it off. All right, back out she comes. See if I can find something a little bit shorter. You know, why do it once when you can do it twice on YouTube? Now this is a 6-inch bolt. I just measured it. Really, I think that, man, you got more than a nut's depth worth of bolt there. Oops. If it's engaged in the threads. Sure feels like it. Yeah, I can see it moving in with every turn. So it kind of looks like 6-inch might work. And that one's grade 8. I don't have to replace that. I guess I should look a little more. Probably shouldn't tighten it down too much until I have more of them in. It's like that was my last 6-inch by 3/8 bolt. I did some digging, found a couple more 6-inch bolts. They'll suffice for now. They're only grade 2, so I am definitely going to replace them. Just goes to show, when you think you're ready, maybe you're not. I don't know. I guess it shows, don't hit the record button until you got all your supplies handy. So if you're adding on, looks like each one, the old ones were 4.5 inches thick. So was each block 2 inches thick? It doesn't look like it's quite that thick. No, more like 1 3/4. That one's probably bottoming out in the threads. But you get the idea. Let's get the front side all hooked up with the levers. Ooh, let's see. Well, I'll have all the videos for repairing these valves. Should be 2, one for the float valve and one for the detent valves. Let's turn that so it's perpendicular. There. You know, so things line up. Oh, look, I dropped it, but it didn't make it to the floor. There. I'm sure my hand is nicely in your way. This one had cotter pins and washers. The next one has E-clips, C-clip, yeah, they're E's. Let me straighten this out. All righty. And, you know, stuff. Oh, maybe I should just get a new cotter pin, because I don't even see where that one went, and it's all bent. Yeah, that's gonna make that a lot easier. And the third valve just had one of these through it. I've been meaning, I gotta go look for, I'm sure I got the right pin somewhere, but this does work if you're like in a situation, you know, we'll show it in a moment here. No one likes being in a situation. Yeah, now here's the fun part. There. As I was saying, I forgot to look, but you know, any old pin can go through there and make it work. I think I'll get a pin with some washers so they're less likely to wander. Yeah, I thought I would show you. This is the console. I know I'm not showing you a whole lot with that angle. I'm not going to bolt it down because, you know, paint. There it goes. The 3-point hitch lever needed to find its home. You see the bolt that comes through the end of the lever rod, bolts onto the console. This is a 74, and if you had a canopy, they had a special console, and you can see there's a notch knocked out right here because that's how close the support is for the canopy and the roll bar. And so those didn't have 4 slots. The one I have on the 4225 right now has 4 slots, but I'm not gonna put 4 valves on it because then you can't put a roll bar and canopy on it. So the third and fourth valves, let's see, there'd be more up in there. That bolt's holding things up. You get the idea. The third valve will be back here, PTO lever here, 3-point hitch here, and the other 2 remotes there. I was able to pick up another correct one at a summer show in 2022, not 23, that has the notch for the 2255, because my intentions are to eventually put a roll bar and canopy on that. And this one came with one, so it had the right setup from the get-go. They're a little harder to find, but they are out there. But there we go. Valves are back on, and if that's something you were looking to do, now you kind of got an idea of what all is involved. I've got a postscript to this installation of these valves. Even after I got them stuck on here, I thought these 45-degree fittings were gonna work right, and then viewer Bailey Carter, who has his own YouTube channel, not a lot of content at this point, but I'll still put a link in for him. He tried this and pointed out to me something I should have tried first. Maybe if that crimp fitting was a little shorter, but it just will not quite start on that JIC fitting. And then even then, as you can see, the hose are going to be having to do a hard bend and rub against the axle. So my apologies. And for Bailey, I've already sent him a Losey's Home for Wayward Olivers t-shirt for helping saving me a bunch of grief, because I probably would have gotten this painted before I found out that this was not going to work. It does work on like a 2135, 2155, but the valves are in a slightly different spot. So in replacement, I got an adapter to go from the 1/2-inch O-ring Boss fitting to a 1/2-inch JIC. And then these for making my own hoses, 90 degree, and they are going to work just fine. The reason I didn't go with these right away is these fittings I was getting for around $3 or $4 a piece. Got the 90s in the back. I'm going to keep those. Those will still work. These, about the cheapest I could find these is about 11 bucks a piece. So somewhere around 3 to 4 times as much money for this. And if the hose goes bad, I got to replace this. But if the hose goes bad, these fittings are going to be fine. So in my effort to save a buck, I stepped over a dime to pick up $1. But I'm sure I'll find some use for these. And fortunately, with them being 45s, oh, I screwed that one in. There's enough clearance between them. I don't have to pull the stack off to take these things out. And of course the straight ones are a breeze to put in because they just go straight in, just like so. These straight fittings were even cheaper yet. I think I spent about less than $2 a piece on them. There's a place I found online, Clearwater Hydraulics. They're in Idaho. They have very good prices. Of course, that word right there is probably part of it. They ship fast, and they've got a huge selection of fittings. Not a paid endorsement. Every one of those is going to make that China face forward, aren't they? How embarrassing. One thing you can see, the float valve actually has the port back just a little farther. I'm just going to spin these on here so we can go around back and take a look at how they're going to sit without a hose on them yet. Then I will just cap these fittings off for paint. And then it'll just be a matter of, I'm not going to paint the hoses. I want to put those after everything else is painted. I just think it kind of dresses them up to have little details like that. Makes for a little extra work, but it's my work. I got these. Not that everybody has their own crimping machine to make hoses with, but I don't know if you went to some place that could make your hoses and brought your own ends, if they would do that. Probably not. Usually, you know, the crimping is free. It's they make their money off from selling you the ends and hoses and stuff, and that's just part of the service. So, but I got those from Hoses in a Hurry. Good price on those. Let's see how it looks on the back side. I think that's going to work. If I can figure out how to do all this, have a light and a camera, one in each hand, and then try to, you know, adjust things. There we go. If I bring that hose straight, oopsies. Once that's crimped, it'll be down a little bit lower. But having those adapters drops these 90s just low enough to miss the back ports, but still be up off the axle. That is going to work much better. So thank you, Bailey, for being the bad guy and letting me know I'd screwed up and saving me a lot of grief. Now all I got to do is find a couple more 6-inch bolts. I keep forgetting to do that. And this part of that will be done. It'll look neat, I think. There could be something else I'm forgetting. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't take advice from some guy on YouTube. So that's it for this one. Valves are installed. Getting closer and closer to paint. Appreciate everybody watching. Thank you, Bailey, and we will see you in the next one.